And so to bring those together, I think it's not an either or, it's both, right? It could be both. It could mean that one person's forgiveness or apology to you is sincere about accepting that you've forgiven them and moved on. And then it could also be that another person doesn't have the emotional intelligence or capacity to be able to actually navigate forgiveness or even caring. And I think what both of them means is that you have to be responsible for your own self regarding how you are going to navigate the actions after forgiveness, which means that I'm not going to wait on determining if you're either of those two type of people. If you are a person who's going to accept it and be glad that I forgave you, or a person who's going to care less. I'm going to take it into my own hands and determine that I am worthy of this forgiveness, not for them but mostly for me, in the process of hoping that maybe on Sherry end they will be forgiven of themselves, but also to let myself go from it, right? So to release me from the connection or the attachment emotionally that has to do with whatever that event is. Because honestly, so you said something at the end and it was like, karma or whoever will catch up. I think we are uncomfortable with saying this, but we live in a world where stuff does not happen and there are consequences that will never come in our lifetime. And so if that's the case, I have to be able to prioritize who matters in this forgiveness. And in this case, when someone has abused me, hurt me, harmed me, I gotta be the person that's the priority, period. And so if they do benefit from it, great. If they don't, great. Either way, I'm going to have to be willing to acknowledge that I'm worthy of the forgiveness that will set me free. Like I can let this go so that I can move on and not keep putting it in every relationship moving forward, in every conversation moving forward, in every incident that happens to me moving forward. And so I say that because when we were talking on off the screen, I was like, I agree with both of them. But the reason why I think that last part about the karma is that you and we may never see the consequences for some of the things that we will never have in our lifetime, maybe even have a change in the system to do that, to have consequences. But I'm not going to wait on that to make sure that I am taking care of my emotional self to be able to honor that I was worthy of those consequences. Right. Because I think Sherry made a point, and I thought she was going to make it again on the camera, but she made a point that said, look, regardless of if I believe it or not, you might get that consequence either way with me forgiving you or not, right? Because there is a reality that a punishment is very different than the consequence. I don't get to dictate if somebody's going to go to jail or not for assaulting me, but I sure can press charges.
Absolutely.
Right. And so what I have to be able to do in that sense is say, I'm forgiving myself. I hope the best that this never happens to another person, but I also can't move any further on trying to wait on them to be arrested, incarcerated, because those things in this system ain't happening, right? And this coming from someone working in domestic violence specifically, and feeling every single time that I've gone into the courtroom, said everything right, gave every example of, literally had a person run another human being over and had nothing happen to them, and was told that she escalated it because she got out the car. Right. And so when
now
you're
that's
telling
injustice.
me, so when on one side, exactly, I was just about to use that word. On one side, if we waited on her consequences to happen, she would have never forgiven herself. She would have never been able to say, I forgive me. I forgive myself in this situation. I also will not act like he doesn't deserve consequences.
Yeah.
Right. Because that part, I think I thought Sherry was going to mention that part, but I think that's an important part too. We can all agree that people can offend you and deserve consequences.
Absolutely.
And because of that, I hope you get them, because you can maybe feel that differently than my forgiveness, quote unquote. But if you don't, I also can't wait on that.